The golden light of late afternoon poured through the wide living room windows, stretching across the polished floor and climbing the walls in slow amber bands, and for a while everything felt suspended in that gentle glow, as if the world itself had decided to pause and watch us breathe. The house was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that doesn't feel empty but attentive, charged with thoughts that haven't yet found words, and we sat on opposite ends of the couch, at first both relaxed in posture yet unmistakably aware of each other's presence, two adults sharing a space that suddenly felt smaller than it had that morning. He had been living here for years as a close family friend and guardian figure, someone who had stepped into my life during a complicated time, and now with my mother still away on a long business trip and the routines of the household stripped down to just the two of us, the air between us felt different, heavier, threaded with something unspoken. I was 18, technically an adult, yet still hovering in that uncertain space between dependence and independence, and Hecom, observant, careful with his words, turned toward me slowly, as though weighing the moment before letting it unfold. His eyes held a depth that made my stomach tighten. Not threatening, not inappropriate, but serious in a way that demanded honesty. And I knew before he spoke that this wasn't casual conversation, that whatever came next would alter the way I understood our dynamic. He drew a measured breath, fingers lacing together, then resting on his knee, his brow faintly furrowed. "I just want to be sure we're both clear," he said quietly, his voice even but deliberate, about what this situation means. The sentence settled between us, neither sharp nor gentle, simply real, and my heart responded with a quick, nervous beat. I swallowed and asked what I'd been afraid to ask all day. Whether he was uncomfortable, whether this new openness, this strange mix of shared space, honesty and vulnerability, was something he wanted to pull away from. He shook his head, not immediately, but thoughtfully, as if refusing the easy answer. "No," he said at last, "I'm not saying we stop talking. I just don't want either of us confused about boundaries or intentions." His choice of words grounded me. Boundaries, intentions, adult words for an adult conversation. Summer break had begun quietly, without plans or parties, and for the first time in years the house felt like it belonged to me as much as anyone else. I remembered the first afternoon alone, locking the door behind him when he left for errands, changing into loose clothes, reveling in the rare freedom of not being watched or scheduled, losing myself online time. Dissolving until the sharp sound of his voice, startled human, had broken that bubble. The embarrassment of being caught in a private moment still burned faintly in my chest, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because privacy, once cracked, is hard to fully reclaim. We had both handled that moment imperfectly. His initial shock, my rushed apologies, the heavy silence that followed. Yet, instead of retreating into avoidance, something unexpected had happened. He had apologized too, acknowledging his reaction, acknowledging my adulthood, acknowledging that curiosity and solitude often intersect in messy ways. It hadn't been comfortable, but it had been honest, and honesty, I was learning, changes things. Days passed with a careful truce that slowly softened into something resembling ease. He didn't hover. I didn't hide. We navigated shared spaces with quiet consideration, communicating more than before, not less. There were awkward questions asked once, then dropped, not prying but practical, and somehow those conversations stripped away shame rather than adding to it. That was the shift he was trying to name now, sitting beside me in the glow of a setting sun, ensuring we both understood that respect, not discomfort, was guiding him. "You're an adult," he continued, meeting my eyes steadily, "and I care about you. That means I want you to feel safe here, not judged, not watched, not misunderstood. But it also means I need to be clear about my role. I'm here to support you, not blur lines." Relief spread through me, loosening a knot I hadn't realized I was holding. I told him I understood, that I appreciated his honesty, that the last thing I wanted was confusion or tension, and in that exchange, something settled. The house seemed to exhale with us. Over the following weeks, life slipped into a new rhythm. We cooked meals together, sometimes in silence, sometimes talking about nothing important at all. But we watched shows in the evenings, sitting at opposite ends of the couch again, comfortable in the reclaimed space. One night, he surprised me with a pair of high-quality headphones, a practical gift wrapped without ceremony, explaining simply that everyone deserved a way to be alone even when they weren't. I laughed, touched more than I expected to be, because the gesture wasn't grand. It was thoughtful. It said, "I see you. I respect your space. I trust you." And trust, once given, reshapes everything. Mornings became easier, coffee brewed, pancakes flipped, conversations drifted from trivial to thoughtful and back again. When my mother's return approached, we both felt the quiet countdown, not with dread, but with awareness that this particular chapter, defined by honesty forged in solitude, was closing. The night before she came home, he knocked softly on my door, asking if we could talk. He didn't sit too close. He didn't linger longer than necessary. He simply checked in, asked how I was feeling, listened without interrupting. I told him the truth, that I was grateful, that I'd grown, that I'd felt respected in a way I hadn't expected. He told me he was proud of how I handled adulthood, arriving not as a celebration, but as a series of uncomfortable conversations. There was no dramatic moment, no crossing of lines, no confusion left unresolved, only a shared understanding that maturity isn't about pretending discomfort doesn't exist, but about meeting it directly with clarity and care. When he left my room that night, the house felt steady again, familiar in a new way, and when life returned to normal the next day, something remained beneath the surface, not secret, not forbidden, simply solid. The knowledge that two adults had navigated an unexpected situation with respect, honesty, and restraint, and in doing so had quietly changed how they saw themselves and each other forever.